Mesechas Ceirovin, Perek Zayin, Mishnah Zayin. Nisma'et ha'oichel, moisif umezakeh. Supposing a kinyan has been made for the purposes of shitufei mevuas, a barrel of wine, let us say, which is sufficient to cover the shita for all the residents of the movoi, and it can be used many Shabboses, and then before a particular Shabbos, it turns out that some of the wine has diminished, has evaporated, or whatever it is, and there's not enough wine to cover all the partners in the movoi. So the Mosif umezakeh, he can add more wine umezakeh, and he can make a kinyan on their behalf, and that he can add mozon for the purposes of the shituf, or he can, if he wants, he can add from his own. The mosif would be that it will charge them for it later. So then the question arises, how can you make a kinyan on somebody else's behalf if they don't, maybe they don't consent? The answer is, since there was initial consent, it is assumed that they would consent further. If he's paying for it out of his own pocket, then zochin la'odam shelo b'fonov. And he doesn't have to inform the other members of the shituf that he is adding to the eruv, either because it's zochin la'odam shelo b'fonov, where he's adding from his own pocket, or if he's going to charge them later, it's still, even so, therefore it's not a zechus for them. Nonetheless, since originally they gave their consent for the shituf to be made, therefore ein tzorich lehodia. There's a pshat of the Rambam. The Rambam says it could be a case where it is not considered to be a zechus, where there are two chatzeros and you have to make a choice as to which movoi you want to join with, and therefore which direction they want to go. So if they are mezakeh and they make a choice for this movoi, then that would exclude them carrying in the other movoi. So to that extent, it's considered to be a chov, not a zechus. And that's why you would have expected tzorich lehodiyai, but the point being, since they had initial consent, then you don't have to ask, you have to refer back to them for their consent. Nitosu aleim, if further people, new entrants, come as members of the movoi, they didn't contribute before because they've just moved in and newly arrived in this movoi. Moisif umezakeh, he can add that he can add to the eruv umezakeh. Alternatively, he pays out of his own pocket. But tzorich lehodia, in this case, he would have to inform them, because again, according to the Rambam, either in the case where he's going to charge them later, it cannot be considered as zechus, or even if he's paying out of his own pocket, because he may be taking them into directing them into one movoi rather than the other movoi, and therefore he must have their consent. He can't rely on a previous consent because they weren't around to give their consent previously. And therefore, tzorich lehodia, he has to inform them, and they will have to specifically consent to the shituf mevuas.